Sunday marks 1 year since millions participated in women's marches across the globe, from Washington to Wisconsin and Michigan to Madagascar. Men and women turned out after Donald Trump's election, deeply concerned that his presidency would threaten women's rights. Journalist and activist Gloria Steinem spoke in front of a raucous crowd in D.C.
This is the upside of the downside. This is an outpouring of energy and true democracy like I have never seen in my very long life. It is wide in age, it is deep in diversity, and remember, the Constitution does not begin with I, the President, it begins with we, the people.
Women's March Michigan organizer and grassroots activist Phoebe Hopps is on Skype from Traverse City, Michigan. Hi, Phoebe. Thanks for joining us. Phoebe, before last year's march, you had little experience as an activist. I understand you organized thousands of Michigan women into over 100 buses. What motivated you to get involved in such a big way?
We really saw this as a time to mobilize people to come to D.C. and have our voices heard. The turnout was incredible and really inspired a new generation of activism and grassroots energy in this country and in Michigan.
So 1 year later, do you view the event as a success? And what has this year been like for you as a grassroots organizer?
The Women's March has been one of the most amazing experiences of my life and has launched me into working with the National Women's March organization and just collaborating with so many other organizations throughout Michigan and the country to further engage voters, to get people active and engaged in different issue-based on. So it's been a really great learning experience.
And Phoebe, you know, so many celebrities participated in the Women's March last year, including Ashley Judd, who, as we know, later spoke out about her experience with Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. So do you think that the Women's March paved the way for the Me Too movement?
The Me Too movement existed far before that, but before the Women's March. But I think that's a great continuation of women coming together and sharing their stories. And I think the Me Too movement, as well as the Time's Up movement happening right now, is just a really exciting thing to continue that action.
So do you think that the Me Too movement, the Time's Up initiative, as you mentioned, do you think all of that means that the marches over this weekend will be even bigger than last year, or will we not see the same turnout as last year?
We're expecting more people at our local marches, and I'm sure with a kickoff in Vegas, National Women's March will have a turnout. I think that this is part of a larger picture for this year, mobilizing and engaging women into voting throughout the country. So it's a very exciting weekend.
Do you think, though, in any way the movement has evolved and has a slightly different focus, perhaps, than last year's?
I think this year it really is about bringing power to the polls. How are we going to show up in our communities and get people out to vote? How are we going to get women to run for office and have more options at the polls? It's all about power to the polls this year.
And Phoebe, where will you be marching?
I'll be marching in Lansing, Michigan at our Capitol.
All right, Phoebe Hopps, thank you so much for joining us today.